Hey, welcome back to the channel. In the previous episode, I started building a new mud kitchen for our kids because we moved houses and the old one was left behind. Last episode was mostly about building the frame, meaning a lot of measuring, cutting, sanding, assembly, and to be completely honest, some more cutting. In this episode, prepare yourself for a nice dose of painting! Because of the weather factors in our country, we decided to paint the whole frame, even the parts which actually will be covered by some other materials, just to be sure that it will withstand the forces of nature. Because of the fact that the bottom section of the plywood could not actually fit in, I had to take the frame a bit apart and then reassemble it back again. Now we're moving to the part of painting the side pieces of the mud kitchen. As you can notice, I was a bit in rush with the painting process, so I applied the side piece in wet condition to the mud kitchen. The plywood panels you see here are meant for the back wall of the mud kitchen, so I will paint all of these panels as well to the same nice blue color. This is the back wall of the mud kitchen, which will be on the outer side, and we decided to paint it in white color just to bring in some contrast to the mud kitchen. The whole family was invested into the painting process, as you can see. Even the small one. To make the mud kitchen a bit more fun for the kids, I decided to build an oven also for it. So for that purpose, I started from building the frame, which would house basically the oven, and the door for the oven, which you will see a bit later in this same video. All of the pieces were also painted to withstand the forces of nature. From the leftovers of the plywood, I measured out pieces which would serve the purpose of side walls for the oven, just to make it a bit more realistic for the kids. We painted these pieces as well in the blue color, just to match everything else. And meanwhile, the little one was still painting because she likes to paint very much. Now this door, do you remember me? Yes, of course, it's the same door from the kids' playhouse. So we're reusing the materials which we had already in our garage. And from this old door, I will build a door for the oven housing, just see how it will look like. But first, of course, we need to reinforce the door because it's, it was quite old and not keeping it together, I would say. after all of the cutting, now it was time to assemble the frame for the oven and measure how the door would fit there. As I moved on, I was learning by doing through the process, and I noticed that the paint was not actually sticking very well to the old door, so I had to sand it down a bit to make it a bit more harsh, and then the new white paint attached to it much better. While the paint was drying up, I decided to install the stovetop, which would imitate a real stove. I discovered that with the last mod kitchen, kids very much liked it, and they like to play and imitate actually cooking something on the stove, so it was an important part of the project. Now I moved on to assembly of the oven frame, and I actually had to screw it down with some long screws and fasten it from the bottom of the mod kitchen as well, so everything will be on its place. On the go, we decided to cover the top of the mod kitchen with some varnish, just to keep it a bit more protected from the different weather conditions and of course water, which will definitely be on the mod kitchen. I was lucky enough that for this purpose my little helper joined me, and we united the forces to cover all of the necessary parts of the mod kitchen with some nice varnish to keep it protected. Next day here, and now things are getting serious as I'm installing the sides of the oven. Now it was time to figure out how the hinges should be installed so that the door would actually open and close properly. It was a bit more trickier than I thought at the beginning, but you will see it a bit later that I learn from my mistakes and try not to do them again. But so far so good. For keeping the door shut, I installed a small magnet. And now the troubles began. As you can see, there are much more holes actually. And yeah, the door still doesn't fit, so I need to cut it a bit more. But no problem, we can do it. Okay, it seems that we are getting somewhere. The door is closing quite well and even staying shut with the small magnet. But now we need to take care of the extra holes which I drilled during the process. So I used some filler and heat it up with a heat gun to make it dry up a bit quicker. After that, I used a sponge to make the necessary paint repairs on the kitchen, because there were some other areas which were painted in a bit, let's say, rush, but I managed to take care of all the necessary paint repairs with the help of my little helper, of course. And we even managed to install the handlebar for the oven, so it will be convenient to open it. And of course we are painting it as well, the same white color as the rest of the oven. And this is actually the last step of assembly. It was unbelievable, but the mod kitchen finally took off from the garage and we were able to install it outside. All in all, I was really happy with the end result, but it's not all. In the next episode, you will see some final touches to the mod kitchen, so stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one.